We're heading back to Cleveland for another big AFC North showdown. But first, a big special I want to tell you guys about at WagerTalk this week. Any handicapper, 30 days of all access at a big discount, less than $8 per day. November is one of the highest volume months for sports bettors. Like every sport is going on, all the pro sports, NBA, NFL, NHL, and then you've got college basketball, college football. I know for me, college basketball starts November 4th. I couldn't be more excited. My volume is going to go up with all the college hoops, NFL, and college football, and it comes out to less than $8 per day. I've hit 49. I think I've cleared about 49 units profit in college basketball the last 2 seasons combined, and I hope to do it again this year. I hope you're joining me. Season starts November 4th, but you get it all with this special at WagerTalk. $30-day all access comes out to less than $8 per day. All right, let's talk Ravens-Browns. Felt like I had to sign up and do the Browns video again this week because we got to break the tie here. I've done it the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, had a very easy under in the Browns-Eagles game. Last week, took a loss with Browns +6, +5.5, +6 against the Bengals in a game they lost by 7. Was also ended up being a client play for me. I went 2-2 in the NFL last week and really felt like I kind of got robbed of a winning week because of this game, this Browns game, which of course had the very notable and what's now been very publicized Deshaun Watson injury. But I don't think that's, that wasn't the reason, in my opinion, that we got robbed. It's the fact that Jameis Winston wasn't the guy that came in after him. For some reason, the Browns decided to elevate Dorian Thompson-Robinson to the backup, and unfortunately, he had to play, which is really, in my opinion, the reason the Browns did not cover 6 in that game. I truly believe, had that been either Deshaun Watson for the entire game or Jameis Winston, that the Browns are likely covering the 6. Maybe they even win. I thought the Browns defense played very well. Winston, it's tough to tell. Like, he kind of came in at the end. Believe he went 5 for 11. He did lead a touchdown drive kind of in garbage time. But I do believe Watson or Winston is probably keeping that one within a score. And not to mention, we started kind of up against it. The Bengals take back a kick return for a touchdown, instant 7-0 lead. The Browns defense clamped down. They didn't give up any points. Really until Watson came out of the game and the Browns couldn't move the ball, putting the defense in a tough spot. But still, that's back-to-back weeks where the Browns defense has played well. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the Browns defense play well again here, because you have a Ravens team that's very heavily run-oriented, something that the Browns excel against defensively, and a Ravens team that just played on Monday Night Football. This was a win for me. I laid 3.5 with the Ravens. They won the game. It shouldn't have been as difficult as it was, but that was a pretty grueling contest, back and forth, a 41-31 final. I felt like the Ravens defense, well, you could make the case that they sort of took their foot off the gas a little bit once they went up 41-18 with 6 minutes left, but they also looked gassed. And that's a concern to me, having just played on Monday night, having played the track meet type of game that they played, now having to turn around and play this game on both sides of the ball. So, this is going to be heavily contingent upon who the quarterback is, because I don't think I have any interest betting on Thompson-Robinson right now as a starter. I think that he's too mistake prone. And that's the one thing that you really can't do against the Ravens is make mistakes, throw interceptions, fumble the ball, because the per play yardage numbers and suggest that the Ravens are a bottom 10 defense in the league this year. The Bucs really had no problems moving the ball against Baltimore for the majority of that game. So I can't have someone like Thompson-Robinson in there who's going to make a ton of mistakes and give the Ravens sort of easy opportunities when they're on defense. I'm not saying Winston's not turnover prone, but I just see him as far more of a professional, someone that can come in and just sort of manage the game. We know Jameis Winston can play quarterback in this league. We don't really know if DTR can yet. And so for that reason, I could only really look to bet on the Browns here if Winston is announced the starting quarterback, but will look to bet on the Browns if that's the case, because I think he's going to give them a great chance to hang around in this game. That brings us to the number 9.5. What it sits now, 10, 9.5, 10 at most books. If you give me Winston there, that's a no-brainer play, in my opinion. You go back to the Browns defense. I think they're very stout against the run. And again, that is, in my opinion, the Ravens' strength on offense is running the ball. If the Browns can take that away, turn Lamar Jackson to a passer, he may be without Zay Flowers, who tweaked an ankle in that game on Monday night. I think that sets up nicely for the Browns to potentially be in this game, potentially, pull the upset. So it's really just about who's at the quarterback position here for me for the Browns. If it's Winston, I think he can lean on the Browns, the Browns rushing attack. We saw Nick Chubb last week. We didn't see much of him, but when he was in there, the Browns finished off a drive. He scored a touchdown. I think that's at least enough where the Ravens are going to have to respect him in the game. We might not be back to like Pro Bowl caliber, Pro Bowl levels of production from Chubb, but the fact that he's going to be in the game and he showed that he could, run the ball last week, I think is enough to give the Browns offense a little bit of an added edge that they haven't had to this point in the season. And then finally, something I talked about the last 2 weeks, the Browns offensive line is starting to get healthy. They, were able to do something last week, in my opinion, against the Bengals. They had the ball moving enough. And again, I go back to the Watson injury. If he doesn't get hurt, I truly believe the Browns are moving the ball to the point where they're not falling behind by more than a score, which was always the goal last week. Browns +6, just keep it within a touchdown. And then, of course, it lands 7 anyway, even with all of the mistakes that Thompson Robinson made, the kick return from the Bengals, everything that went against the Browns last week, and it was still a one-score game, ends 21-14. So I kind of think that we're going to see something similar here. That's really what I'm asking the Browns to do. They're at home again. It's a lost season, but it's a home game. You've got one of the biggest names in the division coming in, one of your divisional rivals. So I do think the Browns will be up to play. And Jameis gets his team up to play. So if it's Winston in there, go back and watch some of his pep talks from the preseason. Those games meant nothing. And, Winston had his team motivated to play. I think that will be the case here. So if Winston's under center and you're going to give me 10 with the Browns here, I'm going to have to take that. I think that's a bet that'll make my card. Again, I really think it comes down to the Browns being more healthy, Winston being able to manage the game, and the Ravens coming off of a grueling win on Monday night that are the equalizer here. I got this as a one-score game, so Browns +10 is likely going to make my client card for this week as I monitor the quarterback situation in Cleveland. Please give us a like and subscribe, and then don't forget about that great 30-day all-access package for any handicapper at WagerTalk this week. I'm Adam Trigger. You can find me on all platforms at Adam Trigger WT.